This is the State of Spatial Sports Media presented by Skyrim.AI. In this episode, we talk about the state of spatial media from the past to the future, how it will impact the sports broadcasting industry, and more.
All right, so today we're diving into spatial media.
Definitely a hot topic.
And we're using Skyrim.AI's 2024 report, State of Spatial Media, as our guide.
Yeah, this report really digs deep into, the past, present, and future.
And it's not just for techies, right?
No, not at all, actually.
This is relevant for anyone who's even remotely interested in sports and entertainment.
Broadcasters, content creators, leagues.
Device manufacturers, investors.
You name it. If you're in that world, this is going to be relevant.
Okay, so you've piqued my interest. What's the big deal with Skyrim.AI? And why should we trust their take on all of this?
Well, for starters, the team behind Skyrim.AI is serious.
Like how serious?
Seriously serious.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
These are the folks who are responsible for over 100 patents.
Wow, 100 patents?
Related to spatial media back when they were at Verizon.
Seriously. That's crazy. So they weren't just some random startup jumping on the bandwagon.
Nope. They have been in the trenches wrestling with this tech for years.
That's a whole legacy right there, not just jumping on the latest trend.
Exactly. Deep expertise.
So they've got the credentials. But for those of us who might need a quick refresh, what exactly are we talking about when we say spatial media? How is this different from just watching a 3D movie?
Right. It's way more than just 3D visuals.
Okay, so it's not just about slapping on a pair of glasses.
No. It's about capturing an entire environment, not just a flat image. Think about it like the difference between a photograph and one of those 3D models you can spin around online.
Right. I get that.
You can interact with it, view it from different angles.
So how does that apply to, say, a live basketball game?
Imagine instead of being stuck with whatever the broadcast camera shows you, you can actually virtually walk around the stadium.
Whoa, you mean choose my own camera angles?
Exactly. Zoom in on the action, see things from a totally different perspective.
That would be amazing, being right there in the action.
It's about immersion, It's about experiencing the event, not just watching it.
It's not just visual, right? There's audio, too.
Oh, yeah. 3D audio is a big part of it, too. Makes the experience even more realistic.
Okay, so I'm getting the picture, but how do they actually make this work for millions of viewers at the same time? That seems like a massive undertaking.
That's where their expertise comes in. They're laser focused on the scalability of spatial media.
Scalability, meaning making it actually work in the real world.
Exactly. Practical, affordable for broadcasters, content creators to actually produce and distribute this stuff.
So it's not just a cool tech demo. They're thinking about how to make it a viable business.
Right. And their report actually breaks down the evolution of spatial media into 3 generations.
Okay, let's dive into that. What was happening in the first generation?
Think back to the early days of VR, 360-degree videos.
Yeah, I remember that hype.
Lots of hype, tons of investment, but the tech wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah, it felt a bit clunky, it wasn't ready for prime time.
Yeah, a lot of companies were more focused on just showcasing what was possible.
The wow factor.
Rather than actually building something sustainable.
So it was a bit of a false start.
Well, the report actually argues that this lack of focus on practical applications kind of held the technology back.
Interesting. So they learned from those early missteps.
Absolutely. And those lessons are baked into their vision for Generation 3.0.
All right, we're out of time for this segment, but we'll be right back after a short break to dig deeper into those next generations of spatial media.
Stay tuned.
Do you want to dive deeper into the state of spatial media? Download the full State of Spatial Media 2024 report at Skyrim.AI. Now back to the podcast.
So we were talking about Generation 1.0, kind of the early days of spatial media, lots of hype, but not a ton of practical application.
Right. More about the wow factor than building a sustainable ecosystem.
Exactly.
So what changed in Generation 2.0? Did things start to get more, real?
Definitely. This is where we see some major advancements, especially when it comes to photorealistic reconstruction.
Okay, so things are starting to look a lot better.
Way better. And it's thanks in large part to technologies like neural radiance fields.
NeRFs, right? I've heard that term thrown around.
Yeah, you might have seen them used in video games or special effects in movies.
Ah, okay, so that's where I've heard it. But what do they actually do?
Basically, they use AI and some seriously powerful GPUs to create incredibly realistic 3D models from images.
So instead of building those models by hand, They're teaching computers to do it.
Exactly. And the results are stunning, like truly photorealistic.
So it's like taking those amazing graphics we see in games and bringing them to the real world.
Exactly. But even with these advancements, Generation 2.0 still faced challenges when it came to scalability.
Right, because we were talking about making this work for live events for millions of viewers.
Exactly. And one of the big sticking points was multi-frame playback.
Multi-frame playback. Now I'm lost.
Think about it. To create that truly immersive spatial media experience, you need to be able to render multiple viewpoints simultaneously.
Ah, I see. So, like, if I'm watching a football game and I want to see the play from the quarterback's perspective, the system needs to be able to generate that view in real time.
Exactly. And for fast-paced action like sports, you need to be able to do that for a lot of different perspectives, all at the same time.
Okay, so that's a lot of processing power, especially if you want to maintain that high image quality.
You got it. And that processing power gets expensive, which brings us back to the issue of scalability.
Right, because if it costs a fortune to create this content, then only a handful of companies are going to be able to afford it.
Exactly. And that's where Skyrim.AI and their vision for Generation 3.0 comes in.
Okay, so tell me more about that. How are they approaching this challenge differently?
They're laser focused on making spatial media work for the masses, for live events, for broadcast television, even for everyday content creators.
So not just for the big studios with deep pockets.
Right. They're talking about HD, 4K, even 8K resolution spatial media captured with fewer cameras, less expensive equipment.
That's starting to sound less like science fiction and more like something we might actually see in our living room soon.
That's the exciting part. And given their background and that whole 100 patents thing, I'd say they're in a prime position to make it happen.
Okay, so we've talked about the what of spatial media and the different generations of the technology, but now I'm curious about the when. Like, when can we actually expect to see this stuff become mainstream?
Well, that's where their roadmap comes in. They actually lay out a pretty detailed timeline for how they see this unfolding over the next 24 months.
Okay, so let's talk timelines. What's on the horizon for, say, the next 6 months?
They see this as a crucial decision-making period, especially for companies that are still working with older spatial media tech.
So those companies that are stuck in that Generation 1.0 mindset, it's kind of a make or break moment for them.
Exactly. They're going to have to figure out if their existing solutions have any niche applications or if it's time to make a bold move and invest in newer technologies.
Adapt or die, right?
Yeah. Pretty much. And for the companies working with the more advanced photorealistic reconstruction from Generation 2.0, well, they're predicting a lot of consolidation in that space.
So we're going to see some companies getting acquired, others pivoting to focus on incremental improvements.
Right. A bit of a shakeup is coming.
And what about Skyrim.AI themselves? What are they up to during this initial phase?
They're predicting some early announcements, maybe even some sneak peeks of their Generation 3.0 solutions, but it'll take a bit longer for widespread adoption.
Why is that? Is it just a matter of getting the word out, or are there still some technical hurdles to overcome?
It's a bit of both, really. The foundational work is still in progress. They're working on bringing down those capture costs, making the technology more robust, and ensuring it can handle the demands of live events.
Right, you can't just snap your fingers and revolutionize an entire industry overnight.
Exactly. You need a solid foundation before you can build a skyscraper.
So it sounds like the next 6 months will be a period of transition, consolidation, and a lot of behind-the-scenes development.
That's a good way to put it. But once that foundation is set, things start to get really interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So what happens after that initial 6-month period? What does the 6 to 18-month time frame look like?
This is where we start to see significant progress in reducing capture costs, making the tech even more adaptable to different environments, and perhaps most importantly, there's a shift from focusing on the technology itself to creating compelling content.
So it's not just about building a better camera anymore, it's about figuring out what to film with it.
Exactly. And they predict this transition will be driven by both ends of the spectrum.
What do you mean by that?
You'll have professional broadcasters, the big leagues, looking to create high production value content.
Right, they want to push the boundaries, show off what this tech can really do.
And then you'll have influencers, individual creators, who want to leverage spatial media to connect with their audiences in totally new ways.
So we're not just talking about changing how we watch professional sports. It's about changing how we create and consume content on a more personal level.
Exactly. Imagine a world where anyone with a smartphone can create immersive spatial media experiences.
That's a game changer.
The lines between traditional broadcasting and user-generated content are going to start to blur, which is going to lead to a whole new era of creativity and engagement.
So what about the applications themselves? Are we just talking about sports and entertainment here? Or will we see spatial media expanding into other areas during this period?
The report suggests we'll start to see more hybrid applications, bridging the gap between consumer and professional needs. Things that were initially designed for controlled studio environments will be adapted for more dynamic settings.
So it's like taking the best of both worlds. The high fidelity of studio production combined with the flexibility and energy of live events.
Exactly. And interactivity will take center stage. Imagine features like adaptive camera control, where the AI anticipates what you want to see and adjusts the viewpoint accordingly.
Whoa, so the AI is like reading my mind.
In a way, yeah. And there's potential for interactive analytics, giving viewers a deeper dive into the data behind the game. And of course, virtual fan engagement features that bring fans closer to the action than ever before.
Wow, so things are really starting to heat up 6 to 18 months out. But what about the long term? What's their vision for the 18 to 24-month time frame and beyond?
Now we're talking about a truly transformative vision. Imagine spatial media achieving parity with traditional 2D broadcast quality, even at resolutions like 4K and 8K.
So crystal clear, immersive experiences, even on the big screen.
Exactly. And they believe that breakthroughs in capture technology will allow us to do all of this with even fewer cameras.
Fewer cameras meaning lower production costs, which again is huge for making this accessible to a wider range of creators.
Absolutely. And with 5G networks rolling out globally, real-time applications like live sports streaming will become the norm.
So no more lag, no more buffering.
And it goes way beyond entertainment. They're envisioning spatial media being used for everything from remote medicine and education to virtual tourism and even social gatherings.
It's mind-blowing to think about the possibility.
And AI will play a central role in all of this.
We talked about AI a bit earlier, but how do they see it evolving alongside spatial media over the long term?
They believe AI will eventually be able to personalize the viewing experience in ways we can barely imagine today. Imagine adaptive storytelling, where the content changes based on your preferences or even your emotional state.
Wait, so the content would actually adapt to me, not the other way around?
Exactly. It could even adjust the difficulty level of a virtual experience based on your skill level.
Now that's next level personalization. And I bet content creators and broadcasters would be all over that.
Imagine being able to offer hyper-personalized subscriptions where viewers pay for access to content tailored specifically to their interests.
It's like the ultimate form of niche marketing.
It would unlock a whole new world of revenue models and business opportunities.
So Skyrim.AI's vision isn't just about building cool tech. It's about building a future where spatial media is as integrated into our lives as the internet itself.
Exactly, enhancing everything from how we entertain ourselves to how we learn, work, and connect with others.
It's a bold vision, and honestly, a bit daunting to consider. But before we get too carried away with the future, let's bring things back to the present.
Right, because while there's immense potential, there are still challenges to overcome.
Okay, so we've talked about the what and the when of Skyrim.AI's vision. Now let's tackle the how. How do they plan to actually make all of this happen? What are the practical steps they're taking to turn this ambitious roadmap into reality?
All right, so we spent the last couple of segments talking about what spatial media is, the different generations of the technology.
And we've looked at Skyrim.AI's roadmap for the future, their predictions for how this is all going to unfold.
Which is, pretty mind-blowing stuff.
Definitely.
But now I think we need to get down to brass tacks.
The nitty-gritty.
Exactly. The how. Like, how do they actually plan to make all of this happen? Because, let's be real, there are some serious challenges here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're not talking about just making a slightly better video game or adding a cool new feature to a sports broadcast.
This is about fundamentally changing how we create and experience content.
And that kind of shift, that doesn't happen overnight.
No, definitely not. It's going to be a process, a journey.
And Skyrim.AI seems to understand that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Their report, it doesn't shy away from the complexities.
Nope. They actually emphasize that spatial media, it's not just a tool.
It's a whole new medium.
Yeah, like the leap from radio to television.
Wow, that's a great analogy.
Back then, people couldn't even imagine, right? Seeing moving pictures in their own homes.
It wasn't just about the technology itself, it was about the way it changed everything.
How people connected, how they experienced the world.
And that's what they're talking about here, a paradigm shift.
And just like with TV, it's going to take time for creators and audiences to fully grasp the potential of this new medium.
So it's not just about building a product, it's about building an ecosystem, a whole new way of thinking about content. Which brings us back to that question of how. What's their strategy? Where are they focusing their efforts?
Well, the report highlights several key areas. First and foremost, scalability.
Right, we've talked about that before, making this technology affordable, accessible.
To a wide range of creators, broadcasters.
This is going to be truly transformative. It can't just be a toy for the big studios.
Exactly, and that's where their experience from that first generation of spatial media, that's where it really comes in handy.
They learned from those early mistakes.
That overinvestment in expensive proprietary tech, it can actually hinder progress.
So are they taking a more open approach this time around?
It seems that way, focusing on building a platform that's accessible to everyone.
That's smart, and it makes sense if they want widespread adoption.
And they're not stopping there. They're also putting a lot of emphasis on content creation.
Because what good is all this fancy technology if there's nothing interesting to watch?
That's exactly right.
And that's key for their target audience, right? Broadcasters, content creators, device manufacturers, they all need compelling content to drive adoption.
For sure. And it's not just about sports and entertainment either.
Oh, so they're thinking even broader than that.
They see spatial media being used for everything, from education to like virtual tourism, even social gatherings.
I can see that, like being able to share a 3D recording of a family event with relatives who couldn't be there in person.
Exactly. It's like they're right there in the room with you.
It feels like spatial media could touch every aspect of our lives, just like the internet has.
That's the scope of their ambition.
And of course, we can't talk about the future of technology without talking about AI.
Right. AI is everywhere these days.
But how do they see AI specifically playing a role in spatial media beyond just, improving the tech itself?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. They believe AI will eventually be able to personalize the viewing experience in ways we can barely even imagine today.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Think about adaptive storytelling, where the content itself changes based on your preferences or even your mood.
Wait, so the content would actually change depending on who's watching it?
In a way, yeah. It could even adjust the difficulty level of a virtual experience based on your skill level.
So everyone gets a personalized, engaging experience.
Exactly. And think about the implications for content creators, broadcasters.
Yeah, that would be huge.
Imagine offering hyper-personalized subscriptions where people pay for content that's tailored specifically to their interests.
So it's like the ultimate niche marketing, taking it to a whole new level.
Exactly. It would unlock a whole new world of revenue models and business opportunities.
So to sum it all up, Skyrim.AI's vision, it's not just about creating some cool new tech.
It's about building a future where spatial media is as integrated into our lives as the internet itself.
Changing how we entertain ourselves, how we learn, how we work, how we connect with each other.
It's a bold vision.
It's a bit daunting, to be honest, to think about all the ways this could change things.
It's definitely a lot to take in, but their roadmap, it gives us a glimpse into what that future might look like.
And for anyone who's involved in this space, whether you're a broadcaster, a content creator, or just someone who's fascinated by the possibilities of technology,
this report is a must-read.
It's a call to action, really, to start thinking about how we can shape this future, how we can harness the power of spatial media to create something truly amazing.
It's an exciting time to be alive, that's for sure.
It is, and it feels like we're just at the beginning of this journey, like we're standing on the edge of something truly transformative.
The possibilities are endless.
That's it for this deep dive into the world of spatial media. We hope you found it as thought-provoking as we did. Until next time.
Skyrim.AI was founded by veterans of the spatial media industry and is committed to advancing the field of immersive sports experiences and storytelling to fans everywhere.